We've got some breaking news here on Texans today. Early Thursday morning, it came from the NFL Combine that the Texans are going to have a major change on their coaching staff. This coming from Adam Schefter. Texans and quarterback coach Jerrod Johnson have parted ways per sources. And this is pretty crazy. It seems like it's a little late in the coaching cycle / NFL kind of calendar year to make coaching changes, but the Texans are going to need to fill that void left by Jerrod Johnson. And guys, this is why you hit that sub button. Breaking news when it happens 100% for free here on Texans Today. When the Texans make a move, when something happens around this team, we're going to break it down here on Texans Today. And I'm actually surprised that this didn't happen sooner because I thought the writing was on the wall. Not that Jerrod Johnson had necessarily done a bad job in coaching up the quarterbacks, coaching up C.J. Stroud. I mean, obviously Davis Mills stepped in for a 4-game stretch this past year and did pretty well under the guidance of Nick Caley and Jerrod Johnson. And he was a well-respected coach for the Houston Texans. And, if not only with the Houston Texans, you look around the NFL. He's gotten multiple offensive coordinator interviews from the Eagles, from the Saints, from multiple other teams. So he was a respected coach in the NFL. Not anymore for the Houston Texans, though, as those two sides are parting ways. Now, C.J. Stroud, this is the only quarterback coach he's had in the National Football League. Here are his career stats over the past 3 seasons, plus his playoff stats in 6 games played. And when you look at the 2025 season, actually, all things considered, I mean, the yardage, that is something that, definitely needs to be kind of bumped up. A lot of short yardage throws for Stroud this year, but in terms of sacks, interceptions, completion percentage, I mean, it was his best completion percentage out of all 3 years that he's had in the NFL. Texans, obviously, Jerrod Johnson didn't feel like this partnership was benefiting both sides moving forward. So I'm going to turn it over to you folks. Let me know, was it the right move to part ways with Jerrod Johnson? Give me a yes. Give me a no. What are your thoughts on the Texans quarterback coach leaving the Houston Texans? I want to know what you have to say down below in the comment section. Well, according to multiple reports, I don't know if it was even the Texans' decision to move on from Jerrod Johnson. So I don't know if I could type my yes or no. I would type yes just because, not that Jerrod Johnson's a bad coach. I just think there needs to be a change of scenery. I don't think C.J. Stroud needs a change of scenery in terms of, going somewhere else. I do think he needs some new minds, some new coaches in the room to help him out. And according to Aaron Wilson, it looks like it was Jerrod Johnson's choice to leave the Texans. This is coming from him this morning. Ultimately, this was Jerrod Johnson's decision in mutual parting ways per NFL sources, and he had left Texans staff about a week ago, prior to the NFL Combine. Pretty interesting stuff there. And obviously, like I said, he's had multiple offensive coordinator interviews from the past, and I think the most logical landing spots for Jerrod Johnson moving forward, Philadelphia Eagles, he's had multiple offensive coordinator interviews with them over the past couple of years. The Miami Dolphins, former Texans OC Bobby Slowick is the new offensive coordinator there in Miami, so it would make sense for him to follow him there to South Beach. And then Texas A&M. He played there. He coached there. It would make sense for him to go back to his alma mater and go there at some capacity coaching there. They have a pretty good quarterback there in Marcel Reed as well. Now, coming up, the big question everybody wants to know, who will replace Johnson as the Texans quarterback coach? There's one logical option, and then I'm going to give you some more off-the-wall ideas of some guys that the Texans could hire. Before I do that, quick word from our sponsor over at PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lives when you play your first $5. That's right, PrizePicks is giving you $50 in lives when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, every board, every home run, every Game-7 catch that much more exciting. So don't miss the chance to get in on America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is super simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get your picks right, you can cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports, including basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. And PrizePicks, they now offer early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. One of my other favorite features on PrizePicks is their season-long projections. And you got to get it in before the baseball season starts. I know pitchers and catchers reporting, so let's get in our season-long PrizePicks lineup. I'm going with Alex Bregman, who signed with the Chicago Cubs this offseason. I'm going more on his home runs. This is my home run lineup. I'm going more on Jose Altuve, more on Yordan Alvarez, and less on Kyle Tucker because he joined the bad guys this offseason. You can use my lineup, or you can make your own. Just do it over on PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's look at who's probably going to be the next quarterback coach for your Houston Texans. It's going to more than likely be Jerry Shiplinski. He was a senior offensive assistant this past year. He worked with Kaylee with the Los Angeles Rams in 2024, so they already have a connection there. And he has maybe the most important thing on his resume. He formerly worked with the New England Patriots for 6 seasons, from 2013 to 2018. He's also been a quarterback coach, multiple stops along the road. I think the last time he was a quarterback coach was for the New York Giants, if I did my history correct. But he was a quarterback coach, multiple stops along the way, so it would make sense for him to step into that role. Aaron Wilson also reporting that the Texans are going to lean on Jerry Shiplinski to help with the quarterback coaching duties. Didn't say that he was necessarily going to be the new quarterback coach just yet. I think the Texans should at least look outside, though, to bring somebody in for maybe not the quarterback coach, but at least to get a fresh perspective, get some more eyes and ears inside the building, whether that be a veteran quarterback, an assistant coach, whatever. And I put together some names that just make sense based on relationships and based on maybe some up-and-coming names in the coaching ranks. Let's look at, I talked about the New England Patriots. Let's look at one of their assistants. Patriots offensive assistant, Chuckie Keeton. He was their offensive assistant in 2025. In 2024, he worked with the Seattle Seahawks quarterbacks. And, say what you will about Geno Smith. In 2024, he actually looked pretty good. So maybe Chuckie Keeton had a little bit to do with that. Prior to Seattle, he coached in college for 8 years, and he's a Houston native. I believe he went to Cypress Creek High School. So would he want to maybe come home to Houston and be a part of this Texans coaching staff? I think this is one of the more intriguing names that Texans fans should look at if the Texans are going to outside hire that quarterback coach. Let's look at another name, Joe Graves, currently a 49ers offensive assistant and helps with the quarterbacks there in San Francisco. He was there with DeMeco Ryans in 2022, so possibly some connections there. Also, he has experience coaching the offensive line. That might help as well, getting a little, two birds, one stone, bringing somebody in who has offensive line experience and can help the quarterback. Maybe a best of both worlds there with Joe Graves. And then a name that is going to be very popular and my favorite name out of all the names I'm going to tell you today, it's Case Keenum. He played with the Texans multiple stints. I don't probably have to tell y'all that. Y'all know who Case Keenum is. This past season, he was the Bears' third quarterback, and mentor Caleb Williams really helped him along the way. Notice, rookie year Caleb Williams, obviously Ben Johnson helps that as well, but rookie year Caleb Williams, not as good. This past year, a huge leap for Williams in terms of, his quarterback development. Possibly Case Keenum is a reason for that, and he helped C.J. Stroud out his first 2 seasons. So I think it would be a logical fit, especially if Case Keenum wants to get into the coaching ranks at maybe coming into Houston and being the quarterback coach or assistant quarterback coach. I think that would be a logical fit for the Houston Texans to look at Case Keenum and bringing him back into the building. I do have one wild card option, though. And this one's very unlikely. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's at least fun to talk about. Jon Gruden, yes. Barstool's Jon Gruden, yes. Former, quarterback coach, evaluator, whatever. Jon Gruden, head coach of the Raiders. Jon Gruden, yes, that Jon Gruden. He ran the QB school on ESPN evaluating quarterbacks, 15 years of NFL coaching experience, has been rumored to wanting to get back into coaching. I don't think it's going to be with the Houston Texans, but at least it's fun to talk about. Now, listen, if the Texans do make a move, if they do, hire another quarterback coach, I'm going to break it down here on the channel, and I'm going to put it on my social media. So make sure to hit me up on X at Jeremy Chugs. My DMs are always open if you have any information, if you want to discuss what I talked about today, like I said, hit me up on social media. And if you made it to the end of today's video, make sure you hit that sub button for free Texans content all offseason long.